Hi guys,
Hello everyone,
This is our AP Chemistry Survival Guide.
this is our AP Chemistry Survival Guide.
and welcome to our AP Chemistry Survival Guide. Now, the first thing we will be talking about, the exam, AP Chemistry 2026. The date varies, you never know when you're gonna take it, but be prepared to take it someday in May. This is a 3-hour and 15-minute test divided into two sections, MCQ and FRQ. MCQ, you get 60 multiple choice questions with a time limit of 90 minutes. This is 50% of your score. Now you have the FRQ responses. You have 7 of them. 3 long, 4 short, with 105 minutes to complete the whole thing. Now, this is also 50% of your test. This will assess you to explain certain concepts over the year to solve problems, design experiments, and interpret data that's given to you, like experiments, procedures, results, equations, data tables, who knows. Topics that are usually covered in the FRQ: atomic structure and properties like electron configuration, periodic trends, and bonding. States of matter and intermolecular forces like gas laws, phase diagrams, and intermolecular forces. Kinetics and equilibrium like reaction rates, equilibrium constants, and factors that affect the reaction rates. Thermodynamics like enthalpy, entropy, free energy. Equilibrium like oxidation and reduction reactions, like oil rig. You will be learning that. Oil rig, remember that. Electrochemical cells and Faraday's law. Organic chemistry like basic concepts of organic molecules like solids, liquids, gases, and reactions like net ionic equations with spectator ions, and you will have to identify each of them. Now, there are 9 units in AP Chemistry. Unit 1, Atomic Structure and Properties. Unit 2, Molecular and Ionic Compound Structure and Properties. Unit 3, Intermolecular Forces and Properties. Unit 4, Chemical Reactions. Unit 5, Kinetics. 6, Thermodynamics. 7, Equilibrium. 8, Acids and Bases. 9, the application of thermodynamics.
What to bring on your test day? Required: a number 2 pencil. Not this one, because it's broken. This one, you see, this needs to be sharp. You need 2 black and blue pens for the FRQ, because you need to write dark so that they can scan it. You need a school photo ID or identification. So, like this one, it's definitely me. You need a scientific or graphic calculator, approved by College Board, like this one, so you can punch in numbers. You need a Chromebook, but not your own device, unless it was approved by the school, like this one right here. Look at how nice it looks. You need a periodic table, which will be given to you during the test, like this laminated one with a little note on the bottom. That's right. You need a formula sheet, like this one. They will provide you this on the test. Optional, but helpful: a water and a snack for the 10-minute break in between, like this water. Tasty water right there. Keep hydrated, kids. A jacket in case the testing room is very cold, like this one. Smells a little old. And a watch that isn't connected to the internet. This right here, not allowed. Leave at home. Phones and smartwatches. This, not allowed. Mechanical pencils. We don't like the clicky sound it makes. Notebooks or any books. It's not an open book test, guys. That's all you need to know.
Now, we have note-taking. In AP Chem, note-taking is serious, because when information comes into your brain, it could fly out, and go nowhere. This is why you need your notes to review. Now, for note-taking, Cornell Notes. You can use it for clarity and structure. You can get notes from the teacher when they teach. Our current teacher, amazing notes. I have the best notes from her. Reading off slides, don't do it. It will not benefit you. You are just copying off information from a slide, and it's better to listen to the teacher explaining it than just copying it off and forgetting it like it was nothing. Do not read off of them. But instead, try to interpret what the teacher says and try to make sense of what they're talking about with the slides. Make sections for all your formulas, lab procedures, and key concepts that you learned throughout the year. Create summaries for each unit after completion. This will very much benefit you from remembering each unit and the concepts that were in it. Practice, practice, practice. Do lots of practice problems for each concept. It will help you so much for the MCQ test during the AP chemistry exam. Review what you do not understand and you find confusing, or you need more time to understand it by asking your peers, your teachers, or the resources related to AP chemistry. This will be later discussed in the end of our video, so stay tuned for that. Consider using a digital notebook, like me, to keep all of your notes organized with any digital platform app if you prefer online notes over paper notes. I prefer online notes because I do not want loose papers getting crumpled, thrown away, lost, ripped, who knows. Online notes, you just need to save them, and then you're done. Make sure you save them somewhere if they accidentally get deleted though, somehow. P.S. I know a good student, Dasha V, at our school, the Science Academy STEM Magnet. You can ask her for helps for the digital notes. Maybe even chem tutoring for any unit in AP Chem. What? I said nothing. What happened? Those are for note taking.
Okay, now we're going to talk about some studying tips for AP Chemistry. First, start studying early and don't fall behind in your homework, as cramming will never work for any AP class. I highly do not recommend it. Second, please, I highly recommend use active recall for AP Chemistry, such as doing practice problems, flashcards, and explaining out topics out loud, like memorizing polyatomic ions, and etc. Also, I recommend spacing out your study session and homework throughout the week, which is also known as spaced repetition. Doing practice problems daily will also help a lot for your AP Chemistry course, such as Khan Academy problems, FRQ problems from past AP exams, and AP Classroom that your teacher assigns. For studying, I also recommend forming studying groups for AP Chemistry and to strengthen your understanding by teaching each other subjects that you guys are confused on, or if you're really strong at, you can help others by teaching it to them. I also recommend targeting your weak areas for AP Chemistry topics you struggle on, especially on units that are concept heavy, such as Unit 7 Equilibrium and Unit 6 Calorimetry. As AP Chemistry units, they connect throughout the course, and if you get confused on a topic, then you may be confused on future units.
Now, we have reading the textbook. In the beginning of the year, you will be giving a textbook for AP Chem and you need to know how to use it in the best way possible to get that 5. Do not read passively. Preview the material. Read, then summarize the content. Focus on the worked example problems, the end of the chapter questions for a good review, and to freshen up your mind, the concept summaries for each unit in AP Chem. Skim the graphs and the charts provided and used in the AP Chemistry curriculum, and try to see if you can get a sense of them at first before knowing how to use those graphs. Use sticky notes for the key pointers, the complex topics that you think are challenging, and for marking up the pages to revisit later in your textbook, but do not write in your actual textbook. Now, we will be talking about the stress and anxiety management. AP season is coming. Some of you guys, 10th graders, have more than one AP, just like us, the class of 2027. Now, how can you handle with the stress and anxiety? AP Chemistry is a tough subject, so it's okay to feel overwhelmed, but don't stress about it too much about this class and don't let the pressure overwhelm you. Get some sleep, eat enough, stay hydrated, and to manage with your studying, I recommend using the Pomodoro technique where you study for 25 minutes and you have a 5-minute break and you continue that continuously. Never compare yourself to your peers. This will let you down. Just because your peers can do something and understand something doesn't mean that you have to be on the same level as them. Everyone has their certain markings and levels when learning something new. Focus on progress, not perfection. When you're stuck with material, you don't know where to go, talk with your teacher, take a break, or watch an explanation video with what you're confused about. You are not alone. Never.
Now we're going to be talking about your assignments in your AP Chemistry course. And your teacher's assignments aren't just busy work, they're designed to reinforce and review concepts. And I recommend to keep a calendar for due dates and test days. And if you don't understand how to do an assignment, I definitely recommend to ask your teacher earlier than the night before, or I recommend to ask your peers. I do not recommend delaying your work until the last minute, because if you procrastinate on all your assignments, you're just gonna be like one step behind with everybody else. And it's just not a good idea, especially for days before tests.
Next is advice for all those future AP chemistry students out there. Don't memorize formulas, or else you might get confused on when to use them and which problem. Use time management when practicing the AP questions, because you will be timed during these tests.
90 minutes.
Yep, what she said. Then, AP chemistry is about connections and understandings and applying your knowledge, not just memorizing. So no memorizing, please. That's a big no-no. Know how to use your periodic table, which is your best friend. See this? Laminated, because it's your best friend. You will have this formula sheet and the periodic table during the exam. So don't worry. You don't need to memorize everything that's on here. Then, practice your dimensional analysis, which is the conversion of units. You're going to be needing that a lot on the test. And get comfortable with how the AP questions are structured, with both the MCQ and the FRQ. And don't start studying on the last day of the AP exam or the last week, because you will not get a good score.
Now we're going to be talking about how-tos in AP chemistry.
How do you balance redox reactions?
You should learn both the half reaction and ion electron methods in Unit 4.
How do you write net ionic equations?
You should memorize solubility rules and strong acid bases in Unit 4 and Unit 8.
How do you determine limiting reactants?
You have to use mole ratios and stoichiometry to compare reactants in Unit 1.
How do you sketch potential energy diagrams?
You should identify its activation energy, products, reactants, and catalysts in Unit 5.
How to use your calculator effectively during the AP chemistry exam in 2026?
You should definitely learn the scientific functions like log, natural log, 10 to the power of a value, and etc. For units like Unit 5 for rate laws and logs, Unit 7 for ice tables and for K and Q expressions, and Unit 8 for solving for pKa, pH, and pOH using log or natural log functions.
Now, let's get to the frequently asked questions.
What if I'm bad at math?
Don't worry, guys. You can still do well with your calculator. Just focus on understanding the concept and practice solving questions step by step.
How many hours should I study in a week?
At least 6 to 7 hours every single day. It's a good amount, but study more if you want to get a 5 on the AP exam.
Should I buy a review book for AP chemistry?
Yes, it will help you on the AP chemistry test. Like, you can go with the Princeton Review or Barron's.
Will colleges care about my score?
Of course, it is impressive to get a 5 on the AP exam, but scores do not define who you are. In fact, there is a choice to not show your scores in your college applications.
What are the easiest and hardest units in AP chemistry? What do you think, Irene?
From the class of 2027, which is my class, Units 1 and 5 are the easiest units, while Units 6 and 8 are usually the hardest ones.
In AP chemistry, you need to rely on those useful YouTube video links. I recommend some of them for your unit tests during class. Most importantly, the AP chemistry exam in May to get that 5. Some useful YouTube channels that we all know and we recommend are Jeremy Krug.
And his name is John C.
One of the best overviews for AP Chem, and I think is the best resource you can ever have to review for AP Chem. And he gives quick 10-minute summaries for each unit. That's 90 minutes for all of AP Chem, but it's only for the summaries. I recommend it only after you learn the material and you're getting a quick freshen up on the material. And this is for each of the units. This is amazing because whenever you have the AP exam, you need to cram every single one of those 9 units. Jeremy Krug, he's there for you. Organic chemistry, he gives step-by-step problem solving for chemistry problems. Bozeman Science, he does AP level breakdowns of the material with visuals included in his videos. Really helpful. And Crash Course Chemistry for its engaging visual overviews of chemistry.
Here are now some useful website links I recommend for AP Chemistry. So for my number 1, Khan Academy. Best friend for all my units. It's one of the best resources ever, and I heavily recommend it. It is amazing for the AP Chemistry review of the units, and it gives a bunch of practice questions. I also recommend practice problems from past exams for both FRQ and MCQ to get a good gist of how the AP Chemistry exam is and practice, and I also recommend timing yourself when doing these. I also recommend reviewing your AP Chem textbook for learning the material and more practice problems, and I recommend asking your future AP Chemistry teacher for any recommendations, such as Princeton, Barron's, and much more. I also recommend the College Board videos they provide for each subunit, and I also recommend AP classroom practices from your assigned AP teacher. Websites I also recommend would be Albert.io and Fiveable, as they provide a good course overview of all 9 units for AP Chemistry and also provide practice examples, although some of the information they provide is free, as some of it you do have to pay. I also recommend Jeremy Krug's Ultimate Review Guide, as it gives a good gist of each unit in AP Chemistry, and even if the package is for money, it's very useful for the AP class, especially for AP Chemistry videos and a lot of practice material. Last but not least, Kahoot! Kahoot is a very good resource, especially for review, and it's also a very fun game that you could play with your classmates or with the entire class. I think Kahoot is a really good way to review practice problems in a very fun and enjoyable way.
Lastly, some helpful and useful advice to you future AP Chem students out there. 1. There's an AP Chem Discord or Reddit communities if you really want for some help, tips, or to stay motivated. Then, we have flashcards like Anki, Quizlet, for memorizing polyatomic ions, solubility rules, and strong and weak acids and base.
You must memorize all the polyatomic ions, please.
You have to. It's important. Then, make a cheat sheet after you learn about each unit for review. Not for your tests. Do not use a cheat sheet on your tests, guys. Academic dishonesty is not allowed. Don't cheat, or you'll never get ahead. If you do cheat on the AP Chemistry exam, you might not be able to take any more AP exams in the future, and your test will be taken away. Then, use your lab notebook for AP Chemistry's strong emphasis on labs like procedures, results, errors, and etc. Lastly, if you're ever absent or miss a class, ask your teachers or your peers what you missed and watch a video on the topic to help you. Keep your studying and material on track and do not fall behind. That's right, guys. That's right.
Good luck, future AP Chem students next year, and we hope you get that 5!
Stay hydrated, kids. This is not going to be allowed.
Wait, can I say something?
Some helpful and useless advice for you.
Good luck, future.
Stop! Yay! No. Oh, finally! It's just Jeremy Krug!
Get out of your chair.